Thanks for tuning in. So today we're going to be talking about car prices, how they begun to fall, right? They're coming down. And I know I'm going to get some people that are going to agree and disagree with me, and that's okay. Not everyone's going to agree with me, but what I am saying is actually accurate. It is happening. Cars are coming down. I do know that they are expensive, but the reality is they've always been expensive. Even before COVID, MSRPs and things like that were expensive. We forget about, before COVID that things were still they weren't free, right? They weren't giving things away. So they were still expensive, and what you really wanted to look at was for the incentives, right? Just like when, some of you, maybe when you go to the store, you go when there's a big sale, or maybe you're looking for a particular item and you're waiting for it to go on sale. Same thing with cars, right? You want to go car shopping when there's sales, there's incentives, the inventory's high, there's less people buying. Because when inventory is growing and there's less demand for something that you want, that's going to give the consumer more power to negotiate. And that's ultimately what you want to do. I mean, that's ultimately what you want if you want a good deal when you're buying a car, right? If everyone's buying a car right now, like back in COVID, then if there's a high demand, then dealerships are not going to be, they're not going to, you're not going to have too much negotiating power, right? You're probably going to overpay. And between 2021 to 2023, we had a lot of things going on. We had, we had the chip shortage, also remember COVID, and all these things. What happened was there was a lot of demand and low supply, and that really shot up the price. So cars, there was not a lot of inventory, there was still a large demand, and then car dealerships, they were starting to sell cars over MSRP. Something that I've never seen in my lifetime is seeing cars sold over MSRP unless it was like a rare, unique, like muscle car or something like that. But just everyday cars, I never really see them go for over MSRP. And then things, low inventory, there was that demand. And what car companies started doing is called market adjustment. So they would sell the car for over MSRP. And I'm not talking about a little bit. It was a few $1,000s. It depended on cars. Some were 2,000, some were 5,000, some were even 10,000. Some of these markups were crazy, and people were paying them. People were paying them, and I knew that one day things would start getting back to normal, inventory would start growing, and car prices start coming down, and those individuals are probably really upside down on those cars. If you bought a car and you gave a low down payment or no down payment and you paid a hefty markup at the time of purchase, you're probably underwater on that car. And you're starting to see some incentives now that these car companies are doing is where they're like, "Oh, we're giving you if you're trading in a car, we're giving you $3,000 off," right? That's to help offset some of these individuals that are pretty underwater on the cars because they paid over MSRP. And there was even a moment where people were saying a good deal is MSRP, which again, in my lifetime, that was not a good deal. Paying MSRP was to me was like you didn't get a good deal, basically. I'm always used to get paying less than MSRP. I'm used to getting discounts. And now, since inventory's grown and we gotten over some of those obstacles, now you have more of the opportunity to negotiate and get that better deal. So things are starting to get more realistic when it comes to price. Now I know some people say, "Are you crazy, corporate?" I'm not saying that they're cheap. Okay, I'm not saying MSRPs are high. I know that they are, especially on these new redesigns and cars that are coming out. They're going to have higher MSRPs as time goes on. Prices are going to go up. That's usually what happens. I know everyone thinks, "Oh no, the world's going to end." Price is gonna if that really happens, then we're gonna be in a crazy recession. Things are gonna be really bad for everyone. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think things are slowing down. I think we might go. The economy may not, may go into small recession. I'm not sure, but we'll bounce back. And unfortunately, things will still stay high. What they're gonna do to start moving and inventory, which is already started, is the incentives, especially on brand new cars. And I'm going to go over used cars. So if you're thinking about getting used cars, because a lot of videos and a lot of information online talk about getting a used car, but things have been changing, and that may not necessarily be the best way to go. So hear me out. If you're car shopping, things that I recommend you do is go on cars.com, go on Auto Trader or other websites like that. There's Car Guru, and there's a lot of them. You know, some of you may have your preference, some of you may have never heard them. So we recommend going on Google, because the reality is some of us are not into cars. Some of us only look into cars when we need one. So you may have gotten a car accident where the insurance said, hey, it's a total loss. And now you have to get a car because you need transportation. Some of us may have an older car and it may need a major repair, and we don't want to put the money in that car anymore because we don't feel like it's worth it. We were like, hey, that mechanic quote from he or she is too high. It's not worth it. I'm not going to put it into the car. It's time to get a new one. So some of us are in that situation where really we don't have a choice. We can't wait any longer. We have to buy a car. Now, good news is the market's gotten better. Where prices are coming down. And this is why I say go with new if you're looking for a used car that's fairly new. And what I mean by that is if you're looking for a car that's 2 or 3 years old with low mileage, you may want to consider going new. And the reason is large incentives. Okay. Now, this is going to vary. I don't know what car you're looking at, but there is definitely some large incentives, especially on trucks. And that's going to help you, right? So if a car, for example, like I'm going to use the Ford F-150, if they have different trim levels, but let's say the one you're looking at, they're taking $10,000 off. That's huge. That's 10,000. Before they weren't doing that. Before they were marking them up. So now you're getting $10,000 off the MSRP. So whatever that MSRP, you're not going to pay that. You're getting $10,000 off. And that's, an example. They're doing that on some of the trucks. Not all incentives are that great. Some are more than others, but even the Jeep Gladiator, they haven't been doing so well selling them, and they're doing some great incentives on the Jeep Gladiator. And there's more vehicles, electric vehicles. They're not doing that great. Heavy incentives on them, and the benefit and the reason I'm telling you do looking new if you're looking at something that's pretty new, but in the used market, is on used cars, you're still getting hit with the high interest rates. Now, interest rates have improved. Okay, even though interest rates are all-time highs, interest rates have improved, and you need to know where your credit's at, so you know where you fall. You can't just go to a car dealership and believe what they tell you, because they're only going to tell you what benefits them, not necessarily what benefits you. I go to a car dealership all the time. I do Toro. People come to me, and my family, friends, coworkers are buying cars. I'm always at the car dealership. I'm always looking into cars, and I know if you have excellent credit, you can get from what I've seen, interest rates on a used car as low as 6%. Not 6%, sorry, a little bit under 6.5%, a little above 6%. That's what I've seen so far. But if you call the dealership right now, most likely they're going to tell you 8 or 9. They're not going to tell you the best deal because they make money. If you're financing the car, they can make money on the interest. But so far on a used car, I've seen in the low 6s you can get, depending on the year of the car and your credit and things like that. But that's what I've seen. Now, on a brand new car, it's a different story. I've seen some interest rates as low as 1.9 for 72 months, even up to 75. Ford's doing on the Mach-E for 75 months a really low interest rate. I believe it's under 2%. So you're not going to get that in the used market. You're not going to get those type of interest rates. So you're going to there's some really good interest rates on brand new cars, and that could really help you out, because even if the new car is a little bit more, let's pretend if you compare them, most of the time, if it's a car that's only 2 or 3 years old, sometimes it's not a big difference between a new one. And since the new one's having incentives, you want to go to the dealership, do the numbers on the new one, see how much they're willing to drop the price, and then that interest rate. Because even if that new one's a little bit more, but the interest rate's a lot lower, that car, if you're financing, your monthly payments are going to be less, right? And you get a brand new car with a full warranty. Some of these manufacturers are giving you a maintenance. And what I mean is like Toyota, they're doing a Toyota Care, 2 years free maintenance, which covers up either 2 years or up to 5 services, because it's 2 years or 25,000 miles, whatever comes first. And that's not something that they're selling you in the finance room. Because I know when you finance a car, you go in finance and they try to sell you gap and extended warranties and a protection plan and all these things and service plans and all that, right? They do that in finance. Well, some of these companies are already giving you service for a year or 2 years. On the Jeep Grand Cherokee, they give you the first 3 services and no charge. It's not something that they're gonna that you're it's not a plan that you're getting in finance. It's just something that already comes with the car. And Ford just started doing that. And there's some other companies that even do up to 4 years. So there's a lot of benefits to a new car, right? The full warranty. Some of them are already giving you the services for free that you're going to need on the car, like the oil change, tire rotations, and and the lower interest rate, which is used. So if you're getting a good discount on that brand new car, you're getting a really low interest rate that you cannot get in the used market, and you're getting those services thrown in there. Remembering you're getting a 24. Guess what? If you finance that car, most people right now are doing 72 months. Now I know some of you are gonna say, "Oh, wow, that's too long. I only do 5." It's okay, right? You can finance a car however long you want. They got 36, they got 40, they got all types of. So it varies for everybody, but most people get 72 months. I definitely don't recommend the 84 months. That's 7 years. I recommend under that. But you get, whatever you're comfortable with. And I know some of you are going to pay cash for your cars. I know some of you say, "Hey, buying a new car is silly." Hey, you're entitled to your opinion. We're not all going to agree. But if you are in the market and you're considering fairly new cars, take a look anew, because if you buy a brand new car, 2024, right? And in 3 years, if you did a 72 months, you already paid half of that car. If you do a 5 year loan in 2.5 years, you already paid half of that car off. You're gonna be better off even on that car. If you're one of those individuals that only keeps their car for 3 or 4 years, you could be on your brand new car as long as your Carfax stays clean, right? You didn't get any accidents, you kept the miles decent on it. You could maybe trade it in and be positive because you bought the car brand new. It has, you're not crazy on the miles. It has a good Carfax. So then when you trade in again, you can use that positive equity into your next car. Now on a used car, since it's already 2 or 3 years old, if you're financing it, even for 5 years, 6 years, right? You keep it for 3 years, but the car's 3 years old. Guess what? It's technically 6 years old now, and you still owe another 3 years. You're more likely to be upside down on that car. You're going to have a higher interest rate. You're going to be out of warranty sooner. Yes, you can buy an extended warranty in the finance department, but guess what? They're going to charge you a few $1,000s for that, and they're going to add that onto the loan. And if you're going to buy protections and finance, more reason to compare it to a new car. Because, for example, let's just say $20,000. I'm looking at a $20,000 car, right? And then I'm going to get a 6% interest rate or higher, depending on your situation. And then I'm going to go in the finance room. I'm going to add the maintenance and the extended warranty and all these things. And let's say those things end up being $3,000. Well, if the new car was $25,000, I didn't really do anything. I'm actually paying more for that used car. I didn't get such a great deal, and I'm probably going to be more underwater on that used car versus a new car. So used doesn't always make sense. Now, it depends in the situation of the market. Car prices are coming down. Used car market's also coming down on prices, but the interest rate is high on the pre-owned cars still. And on the new cars, they got good incentives on the interest rates and they're doing discounts. And I'm saying this so much because this is very important. A lot of people overlook this and they don't think this, and they automatically, it's like the program, oh, used, because it makes sense, right? You think, okay, something's used, it should be cheaper. And sometimes that is the case. Sometimes it is better to go used, and sometimes it's not. Now, I think when rates start to come down, which there's rumors that we may start getting some rate cuts, and some people are really thinking that's going to start happening in September. It could happen this month because the Feds are going to have a meeting, I believe, on the 31st, and they could decide to start cutting rates. But even if they cut rates at the end of July, which would be great, it would be really good for the economy and everything, it wouldn't be enough, right, to have really low rates on pre-owned cars. Now, maybe in 2025, when we start getting, constant rate cuts, if you can start getting pre-owned cars at 2 and 3% interest rates, which you could a few years back, then it could make sense to go on with the used car. But we're not there right now. So if you need a car right now, I really recommend comparing. I'm not saying just strictly go and buy that brand new car, right? I'm saying do some homework. And a lot of us are lazy, right? We don't want to do homework. We don't want to spend a lot of time at the car dealership. We don't even want to go to a few car dealerships. We don't want to go online and search. If you're that type of person, you're going to pay more because you're too comfortable. And if you're comfortable, you got to pay for that, right? Because you're not doing if you just go to one car dealership and you're like, hey, what deal is this on this car? How do you know you're getting the best deal unless you're going online, looking in your area, you're going to more than one car dealerships and comparing apples to apple and work the numbers on a new one. This is a big purchase for most of us. This is our second largest purchase we're ever going to do. So what's the rush? And calculate this. Some people go to a car dealership, oh, I want to be in and out. You're buying a very expensive item. Why do you want to be in and out? if you go to a car dealership, make sure you set a day for that and just look at it like, hey, I'm going to spend the whole day. I get it's not fun negotiating. It's not fun going back and forth, but that's the process if you want to get a good deal. You have to understand when you go to a car dealership, the salesperson, he or she, right, they're trained to make the dealership money. You need to try to save yourself money. So they're going to be looking out for the dealership, and you basically need to look out for yourself. And you have to understand that. And that person that you're talking to, if they're a sales representative, they're going back and they're talking to a manager. Then there's just the middle person. So you can get mad at the salesperson and try beat them up, but ultimately they're just following orders. They're going to go to the manager. The manager's going to say, okay, we can do this much. Try to get them on this deal, right? And they're going to come back with a piece of paper. I call it the pencil, right? And they're going to come out with the first pencil. The first pencil is going to be the worst. So remember, the first time that salesperson comes out with that piece of paper with the numbers, be prepared to look at some very ugly numbers, because they're going to, they're going to start high and then work their way down to see if they can meet in the middle. But they're not going to start with the best deal. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. There are car dealerships out there that are upfront pricing and they don't do negotiating. I don't recommend going to those dealerships. I have been to those car dealerships. And if you want to buy at a car dealership like that, still do your homework, still go to the regular car dealerships where you do the negotiating, negotiate the deal there. And then if you want to compare it to a no haggle to see if the no haggle is doing a better deal, do that, right? There's no problem, but get out of your comfort zone, get ready to haggle, make some time, go online. And then if you're in a situation where you're like, well, I also, I don't want to pay the mechanic bill. If you're in that situation where your car's older and you're thinking you want to get a new car and you're going to trade in, there's some things I recommend too when you're trading a car. Start off with going to CarMax, right? Find out how much your car's worth and don't just go based on what the dealership says. So you can go to CarMax, they'll appraise the car. You can even do it online. A lot of times there's Caravana, there's other companies that will give you an appraisal online. Hey, now you have an idea of really what your car's worth, what a dealership's saying they're willing to give you, as long as you're honest on when you're filling out the questions, and you can have that in your back pocket. So if I go to CarMax right now, and for example, let's say they're willing to give me $20,000 for my car, and I go to a car dealership and they're giving me 18, I'll tell them, hey, no, I went to CarMax, I'm not going to take 18. Now, though, all dealerships, they're all going to tell you a story. Oh, well, for example, she's using this example. CarMax gives more for the cars because they could sell them for more or whatever. And they're going to give you this story to convince you to take the 18. That's when you need to stick to your number and say, hey, I'm not going to do 18. And they should be willing to budge. And they don't want to budge. Say, hey, no problem. There's a bunch of dealerships. Too many people get caught up or they don't want to go to other dealerships. Right now, inventory is increasing. The car demand has gone down. There's less people out there wanting to buy cars. And because affordability, yes. So if you are in a situation you have to buy a car, you already know, hey, affordability is an issue. There's less people trying to buy cars. Inventory is growing, and that's why dealerships are doing these incentives that they weren't doing. You are in a position to negotiate. If there's a car dealership telling you otherwise and not willing to negotiate, not willing to do anything for you, leave. Take your business elsewhere. Okay, I don't know how long a dealership's gonna be able to survive if they're not willing to, reduce their prices. They're not willing to, hey, no problem. There's a gazillion dealerships, right? Right where I live, there's a ton of dealerships. There's no problem finding a dealership. So if a dealership's not treating me well, if they're acting like they don't want my business, if they're not appreciating me being there, no problem. I'll go to another car dealership that will. If you're looking at a car and you're not seeing discounts and you're not seeing prices go down, go to another dealership. Because I get comments where people are like, no, I see prices going up. Go on cars.com, go on Auto Trader, and you're going to see a ton of cars reduce. It's like the housing market. If you go right now on Zillow and you look at houses, you're going to see a lot of houses with price drops. Why? Because demand's gone down, inventory's going up. I know affordability is an issue, but it's exactly that. High prices, high interest rates, and that's why you're seeing incentives. So I am starting to see a reset. It is starting. Prices are coming down. So if you are in a situation where you got to buy right now, it's not a horrible thing because there are deals out there. And I do believe as time goes by, deals are going to get even better because, again, if we start dropping interest rates, then there are going to be better deals with pre-owned cars. But right now, I would definitely compare with the new and used if you're looking for something fairly new, because I think new might be the way to go. Hopefully this video helped you if you're definitely buying a car right now. So if it did, smash the like button. Don't forget to leave some comments down below. If you could do me a big favor, subscribe to the channel. I really would appreciate it. Also, if you're into Toro, I got in the description box, I got a link there for the things that I use for Toro. So check that out if you want. I really appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.